Can you create most of your kick drum sounds just using this little old FL Studio instrument? You might be surprised. Okay, so here I have a kick drum sample. And I pulled this from splice.com. It's actually the top downloaded kick drum one-shot sample. You can kind of imagine for good reason, right? I mean, it's just a basic, strong, thuddy kick drum. You could use this on EDM, hip hop, pop, whatever, lo-fi music. You can make this in FL Studio. You don't need samples to do it. And I think a lot of people know Fruit Kick as a very old plugin. You can find it there in the middle of the drum section of your plugin menu. And it's a very CPU light instrument. Essentially, the secret to this thing is that it's about 60% too quiet compared to all your drum samples. The controls don't make a lot of sense, and it doesn't have really many useful presets. So that's why a lot of people just don't use it. But once you get a sense of what it's doing and how you can use it, it's extremely useful, CPU light, and gives you a much better workflow than having to drag around a bunch of samples in a project. So basically max and min, these are just pitch changers. This one does more resonance like a synth resonance knob, and this one changes the pitch as well. These are two different decays. This one adds sort of decay to the sample like a sustain would. In a transient designer, you have attack and sustain. This is really, you could actually call this sustain, and this adds more sustain. This is a clean sounding click. This is a pretty useful distortion, crunchy sound. And as we kind of mess with them, you can hear. Let's go pull everything down. Barely any sound. If I turn that decay up, it sounds like a synthesizer would add resonance. And then these decays, or sustains I like to call them, add more ring. And then the click, very clean sounding. And the distortion adds the dirt, which can be useful, but the presets suck. So basically, I'm going to switch these parameters to my own custom preset. You can see the settings that I use there. And this is going to give me a thuddy kick sound. So you can see what I'm using here. And let's compare that to the popular kick drum sample. So here's ours and the sample. So ours is kind of closer to the thuddy kick, but still really inferior. And that's the other thing about this. You have to stack on plugins. And a lot of people found my channel through the FL Studio lo-fi piano preset that I did, which is essentially the same idea, right? You take FL keys, you stack on the right plugins, you get a pretty decent keyboard sound out of just stock stuff. It's the same idea with this. You just have to give it some extra steps. I'm going to go down here, assign this to channel 1 on the mixer, right click on the green bar, go to file, and I can find all my custom presets here. And I've got one actually called Fruit Kick Basic Thud Kick. It corresponds to that preset on Fruit Kick. And it's going to pull up these plugins, which I'll turn on. And you can see here, basically what I'm doing is a little bit of gain staging. So I bring the volume down with Fruity Balance because I want to have a ton of headroom as I add juice to this thing. And then I've got the sound goodizer on the D setting, just adding a lot of compression, saturation, EQ, and maximizing it. And then I've got a big resonant bump in the low mids, cutting the highs, destructor, blood overdrive, mixed in, not all the way, filters cutting off any of the hair that might add. And then finally the soft clipper, which is basically like a CPU light limiter. It's got a soft knee on it. It also is like a maximizer. It boosts up the signal to where I want it to be or prevents clipping if it's too hot going in. And it's just like FL Studio's limiter plugin, but vastly easier on your CPU. And now I'm much louder. So let's compare it to, again, the sample. And here's us. Again, the sample. And us. So pretty similar, still a little bit different. It's got still, a little bit of a different color, but it's the same idea. It's a nice, strong, thuddy kick drum sound that we make through Fruit Kick. So you don't need the latest and greatest sample pack to get a good kick drum sound. And in truth, you can make really amazing 808s with this, great EDM kicks, even dubstep kicks, and I'd be happy to make tutorials about that as well if people want to see it. So hopefully you found this video useful. Check the link in the description below for a bunch of free stuff, and yeah guys, I'll see you on the next one. Have fun making music.